Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Dungeon Vinyl and Bourbon Lounge here on a Tuesday evening. We're going to get into a little deeper dive into a couple of my favorite, most recent bottles that I've picked up today. Since I'm in Texas, we're going to be talking about a Texas distillery and one that's gaining a lot of traction throughout the country. Um, Texas bourbon becoming ever more popular. Some of the reasons for that, of course, are the quick abilities of the distilleries to age their whiskeys and bourbons faster here in Texas than they are in some other climates. We're going to be featuring probably the biggest star right now on the Texas bourbon scene from Austin, Texas, is the Still Austin Distillery. And a really cool story on Still Austin. There's a lot of pop-up bourbon finishers now in the state of Texas, but not all of those are true Texas bourbons or true Texas whiskeys, in that they do not distill their own juice. They usually get it from somewhere in Kentucky from a legacy distiller, or Indiana, most commonly from MGP, which is nothing wrong with that. Good product, and then they finish it and put their own spin on it. However, Still Austin, and I've got a couple of their most award-winning bottles in front of me here that we'll get into in just a minute, but these guys are a true grain to glass operation in that they do their own distillation. They do everything in-house. They don't get their distilled spirits from another distillery and then finish them themselves. They do it all in-house. They have their own master distillers that put their own spin on everything. So they are a true Texas bourbon in every sense of the word. And I was slow to jump on the bandwagon because a few years ago, when I first started tasting a few of the Texas bourbons, I wasn't really blown away. And I think some of that had to do with the fact that they weren't true Texas bourbons. But we're going to hit you one today that truly is. This is the Still Austin Distillery, and we're going to hit two seasonal varieties of theirs that have been getting a lot of reviews. These two bottles are harder to find, and they are limited releases. And we'll get into that. We're going to do a pour to give you a few of my impressions on both of these bottles. One of them I've had a little longer than the other. So the two bottles we're going to be talking about and these are both from their Bottled and Bond series, so they're all going to be 100 proof. These all are going to have at least 6 years of aging to them, which is a great age statement for a Texas bourbon. It's going to give it a lot of depth and character, and certainly a lot of oakiness because of the speed of maturation that happens in the Central Texas environment. So the first one we're going to be talking about is the Still Austin. This is the Red Corn Bourbon Whiskey. This is made up of a really unique mash bill in that Jimmy red corn grain. So it's 36% red corn, 34% white corn, 25% rye, and 5% barley. This, I will go ahead and tell you, has quickly become one of my favorite pours. This was the summer of 2025 release that we have here. I have another bottle stored back here, and I have one I've been drinking on, and I'm certainly one of those that falls in the camps of the things that I really like. I always like to have one to store and, of course, one to pour. So as you can see, I've gotten into this bottle pretty well. I've been drinking on it a few months, and I really have enjoyed this one. At 100 proof, it really starts at the proof level that I like in my bourbons. Anything less than that, it's got to be really fantastic for me to enjoy it. I've really related proof into flavor and depth. So it is the Red Corn, released summer of 2025. This is pretty much gone now. There's not really any that I know of here in Texas that's still sitting on a shelf anywhere. You might find some behind the counter as an allocated bottle. You're definitely going to pay for it at a liquor store if you find it. If you can pick this up for $100 and $150 still, that's probably where the market still remains on this bottle. And the other one along those same lines is the fall or winter release, and this is their blue corn bourbon whiskey. A little contrast to the red corn, but really developed along those same tasting lines, but something they want to develop for more of a winter palate. So now the one I have is not their most recent one. This is the summer of, or rather winter of 2023 release that I have here. Their newest winter of 2025 release was just released at the distillery in Austin back on November 7th. So it's just now starting to make its way into the marketplace. I am starting to see it show up in some secondary markets, but it's not everywhere. And I don't think you're going to ever find this in abundance, nor this one. So still Austin has some other lines that you're going to find more easily available in most of the liquor stores. I don't think they necessarily have nationwide distribution yet, but they are gaining more and more state distribution as the months go on. Certainly you can get it all over Texas, but I know in Oklahoma, I've even seen people in Alabama, Tennessee, even up in Ohio, some liquor stores are starting to get this because it is starting to gain quite a reputation. So they do have some varieties. The Musician, which is one of their more cheaper lines, their cask strength, which is really good. Those two are usually being able to be found pretty easily, as well as one of their ryes. So let's talk about a little bit more about these two. I'm going to go ahead and give a pour and let these open up a little bit. We'll talk about the nose, talk about the palate, and I'll give you my final review on these whiskeys. So we'll go ahead and pour up our red corn here. And I should have already done this to let these breathe a little bit. But since they both already been cracked, I don't think it's going to be that big deal. And then we've got the blue corn, of course. So I'm not doing a blind or anything like that. I'm not comparing it to any other bourbons out there. I'm just really wanting to share this with you and talk about this brand and make you aware of two of what I think are their better offerings and ones that are not as easy to find. So as you look at both of these, red corn, blue corn, the color on both of these is really nice. And again, because of the quick maturation that we have in Texas with the warmer and longer seasons, you're able to age bourbon much quicker than you can, say, in Kentucky or Missouri or Indiana. So you really got a lot of depth and color. I'm not really seeing the red corn maybe is a little bit darker, has a little more mahogany to it, certainly has that red tint to it. The blue corn, maybe just a little lighter, but the same subtleties that we see there on that. So I'm going to go ahead and take the nose on the Still Austin. And guys, I'm not a pro, so again, everybody's tastes are different. And again, we should have let this one kind of sit out a little bit. So I'm definitely picking up a lot of nuttiness. Kind of makes me think about some of the wild turkey stuff. You're always, to me, anything turkey or anything from Russell, I always pick up and immediately kind of a real nuttiness, kind of a roasted, even a hint of hazelnut a little bit there maybe. And that's really about all I'm getting on that. And again, the ether, the alcohol is not really blowing me away, even though I just poured this one. And then the blue corn, it's a little brighter, I would say. And by brighter, I definitely think that there's more sweetness in the nose. Definitely a berry or a fruit of some type. Definitely has a more confectionery smell to it. And I think they really intended for the blue corn to be something that you sit around the fire in the fall and winter time and you sip on as you finish the evening. Okay, it's pretty nice. I really like the nose on the blue corn. It's definitely more pronounced to me, that brightness, that sweetness that's there. We'll go back to the red corn for a second. Again, nuttiness is just the first thing that comes in here. Maybe some very mild caramel and vanilla on the backside of that nose, if that's a thing. So we're going to go ahead and make sure our camera is still doing what it's supposed to do here. Let's go ahead and get a taste. What do you say? So we're going to do, again, the red corn. So let's bottoms up. Go in again. So interestingly enough, initially I'm picking up more sweetness on the front of my palate than I was on what I thought the nose would have given me. Um, Almost a cake. Definitely a roasted. I don't know. There's still some on the finish. I'm definitely kind of picking up a little of that nuttiness on the backside. Um, but it's definitely got some earthiness to it as well. Maybe a little bit of tobacco, coffee. It's very robust. I definitely, even though it does start sweet, the finish definitely falls more towards the savory, nutty, earthy side of things. It's really good. And again, this has certainly been one of my favorites. And let's go ahead and try out the blue corn. Well, that's really good. So to me, even though they're the same proof, this definitely comes in a little hotter on my palate. It definitely seems like it's a higher proof than what the blue corn does. I definitely think this is smoother. It's definitely sweet, just like the nose was. A lot of caramel candy in there. Both of these have a kind of a medium finish. They don't last real long, but it's not short. A little bit of pepper, kind of on the back of the throat, the back of the tongue. But certainly that sweetness is predominant there. This is a great wintertime sipper, and I think they really nailed it by releasing this as a fall or winter variety. So, which one do I like? Would you go with the Still Austin red corn, or would you go with the Still Austin blue corn? And my answer to that is yes. They are both fantastic in their own right. They both have very unique characteristics, some similarities, but they're very, very uniquely different. Both of these, of course, heavy corn, they have to be bourbon, but they both um, have just enough of that barley and rye to give you a little bit of that spice. Really great offering from Still Austin. So if you're looking for something that's not your traditional legacy brand, whether it be a Great Weller, Blanton's, Michter's, some of the ones everybody knows about. You're looking for something to add to your collection that's not terribly expensive, but certainly I think hits above its price belt, so to speak. I think Still Austin and across their whole lineup is certainly worthy of your consideration. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off here, and we're going to finish off these two pours here this evening. I hope you enjoyed hearing a little bit about the Still Austin Distillery, the red corn and the blue corn. Hope you can find some. And as always, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you on the next one.